Hi everyone, welcome back to the Noisy Neighbours podcast. Right, so Alex, yesterday obviously you took your little man to United versus Fiorentina. I was coming back on the train from Birmingham with an awful hangover, whilst weirdly you were putting yourself through a different version of hell. So would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, I went to the final preseason of this mini tour that they've been on in America, and then they wrap it up at Old Trafford. I was absolutely floored with how bad United were yesterday. Even with the setup, which I'm going to get into in a minute, this team and this manager, it is not going to be any different this season. And people need to understand that. People need to know that if we play 3-4-3 and he is picking Bruno Fernandes as one of them two midfielders, we're going to be shit. We're going to be shit. This is factual. This isn't... Don't be coming at me with all your Bruno stands, getting on at me about, Bruno this, Bruno that. Bruno is a very good number 10. He's not an 8, he's not a 6, and he certainly isn't one of those two players in a two-man midfield, never mind a 3. Christian, 2 years ago, Erik ten Hag tried to play Mount, Bruno, Casemiro in a midfield 3. It didn't work to the point where Ten Hag basically lost his job off the back of that. The domino effect went through the season. He never recovered from it. 2 years on, we're going with Fernandes in a 2 with Casemiro.
Yeah, even more responsibility with even less legs.
We've basically gone, right, it didn't work with Mason Mount in there, which I agree, it was stupid. I said that about Ten Hag, as if that midfield 3 was ever going to work. What we've gone is we'll take 2 out of them 3 and run them as a 2. 2 years on, by the way. Casemiro's 2 years older. Bruno is 2 years older.
Yeah.
I am with this manager. Now, he has gotten a big leash because of certain things at the club, certain players at the club, certain profiles at the club, poor recruitment from previous managers. Your job is to get the best out of the players you have available. You are not doing that. This manager is failing. He's failing picking a midfield that is the best for this team. And for the fans that go, me yesterday, 75,000 on Sunday, are going to have to watch Declan Rice and Zubimendi and Martin Odegaard run amok because he won't change his system. He's picking 2 midfielders that would struggle in a 3. This is egregious. This is actually one of the worst things I've seen in 30 years of supporting this club. And I've seen the great man himself made tactical balls-ups in one-off games, Christian. Carrick Giggs in a 4-4-2 at Wembley against Barcelona in 2011. Terrible idea. That was a one-off game. And by the way, that worked in previous rounds. Fergie could even come... This has never worked. This Bruno Casemiro shit is an absolute crime against football. And every match-going fan, I was sat with some yesterday, I was chatting to some in Hotel Football. If you're singing this guy's name, he doesn't deserve your support while he's picking this team. If he plays Bruno and Casemiro on Sunday and we get waxed, and you lot are singing Ruben Amorim is going to bring the glory days again, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Because he isn't.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on a few things you've said, Alex. Just FYI, I didn't watch the game yesterday. Obviously, Man United friendly. I didn't want to put myself through that either. But yeah, so I didn't see anything of it. However, just a few things you said, Alex. So with Amorim in particular, what is it that's bothering you the most? Because obviously you've kind of backed him to a certain extent, and you've given maybe a bit more leeway than others. Certainly the ones that weren't happy with the Ten Hag sacking. What about it now is really bothering you? Is it the not learning from the mistakes? Is it the arrogance to keep going with a system that doesn't really benefit any of his players? What is it?
Because last season, he's got square pegs round holes just because of players he didn't sign. And I always think that I want to give opportunities to people for managers to bring their players in. Now, I believe he has had that. He spent 200 million, okay. Sesko was not available yesterday. However, Sesko is not going to fix this. Ronaldo would not fix this. This is a structural issue with the team that he cannot identify. And the thing is, like last season, we accepted a bit of because he trialed a few things, and you have to, okay, he tried something, it didn't work. Next week we'll try Mainoo Ugarte. He came from Sporting Lisbon where this system worked. I don't know the two midfielders, whoever he had there. He came to United. He did not win enough games. It wasn't even close. I mean, we came 15th. You go into the summer, mate, if you're not identifying the reason you're not winning games is in midfield, and then, Christian, what happened 6 weeks ago? Bruno Fernandes, we get an £100 million offer for Bruno Fernandes from Al Hilal. He goes, no. And I was like, we did an episode on it. I was like, please tell me that you're not saying no and you're going to play Bruno, because obviously Wemo Kunyua basically happened.
Yeah.
So I was saying to you, right, maybe Fernandes is going to play as a 10 behind them two as split strikers, right?
Yeah.
Sesko's in. So he rejected a £100 million offer for Bruno Fernandes to play centre mid. This is egregious.
Yeah, to then play him out of position is just stupidity. You've got to remember Bruno Fernandes has been ran into the ground by this club, and he's done an amazing job, by the way. I'm not slating Fernandes. He has played in probably one of the worst Man United teams. One of the worst teams in history, really. Now, he's done a great job. However, you get an offer that large off Saudi. You had the golden ticket. You won the lottery with that because you didn't have to really go about it in a nasty manner and kick him out of the club. This could have parted ways in quite a nice fashion. You had a really good opportunity. You doubled down and you said you wanted him. But then, I agree with you, Alex. To say you want him, but then to play him out of position, when he is getting older, you're going to put more responsibility on him. Listen, to play Bruno Fernandes as a 2 in midfield, you need a prime Kante. I said this the other week. Now, Alex, not only has he not got a prime Kante next to him, he's got someone with even less legs than him. And that is where you've really got to be pointing the finger at Amorim, Alex, and you're looking at it going, right, last season, okay, you lot give him that, and you say, right, we go again. We don't make the same mistakes. So I can totally feel you that you go into a pre-season game before first Prem match, and these same mistakes look glaringly obvious. And also, it's going to be worse because these guys are all a year older. They've all got more miles on the clock. I mean, Alex, just to ask you this, obviously, Casemiro, Bruno, if you are going with a midfield like that, realistically, where are you putting them next year? What could you expect from it in terms of improvements, if any?
Position in the league or performances?
Well, either, but I was more meaning position, to be honest.
If Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro are starting, this team will be bottom half again. He will probably get sacked, so we might end up top half. If Ruben Amorim got a full season and he plays Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro as midfield 2, we will be bottom half. Don't rule out 15. Don't rule out 16. You could put Messi, Neymar, Suarez up top. If them two are in midfield, you are going to lose the midfield battle. 38 games out of 38. One happened yesterday against the mighty Fiorentina. One's going to happen on Sunday against Arsenal. And guess what? It's going to happen against Fulham in the second game. And guess what? It's going to happen in the third game against Burnley at Old Trafford because Bruno and Casemiro cannot play in a midfield 2. Yes, Christian, you mentioned to me before we did this episode about the messages we were getting on TikTok. So many messages about, obviously, our Sesko vid that we did, the Chido Obi criticism from me.
Yeah.
Oh, you two sat there. Why are you not scouts then? You know what? I am right with this. Ruben Amorim is wrong. Bruno Fernandes cannot play in a midfield 2. You can laugh at me all you want. This is facts. This is not opinion-based. I saw it with my eyes yesterday. They have no legs. They don't care for ball retention. Casemiro is just past it athletically. And you know what I saw yesterday, Christian? It's the second delay up here.
We've seen it.
It's not the legs. It's ball stuck under my feet. Can't get it out. It's happening. Bruno Fernandes, you said he's played 60 games a season for how many years now at Man United? Brilliant effort from the guy. Great, really good number 10. Risk-taking number 10, though. This isn't like a Scholes or a Kroos or even a Rooney that could drop in. They're different players. Bruno Fernandes is not an ultimate high IQ footballer. He's great at what he used to do. Now he can't do it. All you're going to get now is you're just going to get hoofball from him because all he wants to do is send it over the top. You know what I saw yesterday? I saw 11 players unhappy. And I'm looking at the manager now, and I've been on all of them. Garnacho, Højlund, I roasted all of them last year. I'm actually a bit embarrassed and annoyed at myself that I gave this guy the leash I give him, because he's gone into the summer and not even attempted to sort this midfield out. Games that are won and lost, titles are won and lost in midfield. Not that we're in a title race either way, but you have 4 midfielders at the club: Ugarte, Mainoo, Casemiro, and Bruno. Your job is to get the best midfield out of them 4 players. I'm not saying we can win the league with 3 in a 4-3-3, Christian. But if you are sending out 2 of them that are going to get overrun weekly by every team in England,
you send them out to slaughter.
I'll tell you what, I'd like to get a championship team in the FA Cup, Christian, or the Carabao, and I'd like to see what they do against that midfield, because I bet they do things. I really do feel that strongly about this. I saw it in my eyes. I was in the stands yesterday.
Mate, it's a fair point. I think, look, obviously I'm a Blue. I was watching my team last year. Now, we are talking high-calibre players, real world-class players we had in our team. However, when them legs go in midfield, the Prem, you saw what the recipe is to beat City. We were getting overrun in midfield. We had Gundo, Cover, we had Bernardo, and we had De Bruyne at times. Now, it wasn't good enough. You are talking, there are some world-class names in there, right? But when them legs go, it doesn't need to necessarily be a world-class midfield that overruns them. It's just a team that's more athletic. We've seen West Ham do it. You know, it is not difficult. Crystal Palace did it to us. They absolutely hammered us, Alex, at home for about 30 minutes. Probably the most dominant I've seen a team play against us last season. And we weirdly turned it round and their arses fell out. But this is what I'm saying. I don't know how Amorim has spent, quite a long time in England now. He's had his time to settle in. And he looks like he's going to go in and really double down on this, thinking that a 2-man midfield that consists of 2 aging players, one that is significantly out of position, I might add, and his strength has never been playing nearer to his own half, let's be honest. Even the biggest of Bruno fans would admit that, surely, and say, look, when Bruno is in a certain position, you're going to get them Hollywood moments, yeah? And it looks great. But the further he is, the closer he is to his own box, let's not even go there. We've seen how wasteful he can be in possession. We've seen that he can make the wrong decisions sometimes. And then you're thinking his legs are going to have that much more miles on the clock. He's going to have to cover that much more ground. It just seems like a recipe for disaster and sending these guys to the slaughter. Alex, so obviously Pat, who's been on here a few times, our cousin, and he said something in our WhatsApp group yesterday. And it got me thinking. And he said, who is it actually improved? Or it could have been you that said it, actually. Who is he actually improved? Who does this system really benefit? And I tell you what, if you look around this team, if you were to ask them all, and they had to answer honestly, who likes playing in this system, how many would actually put their hand up? You know what I mean? Maybe Dorgu. Maybe it would benefit him being a wing-back.
No,
I think
you're
he'd be one of the only ones.
I touched on it in 5 minutes ago. They look miserable. They look unhappy, this team. And you know what? I don't fucking blame them, to be honest, mate. I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy watching this failing system, watching a manager get blind witness support from 75,000 match-going fans, and he's rolling out something that's going to fail 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000. Yeah. And Christian, you spoke about the improvement, and I want to just look at that starting 11 yesterday. Let's forget Mason Mount. I get Sesko will play up front, right? Let's go through that team yesterday. How many players are out of position out of the starting 11 yesterday? Let's go with, I'll tell you what, forget the back 3, because they're all centre-backs, but I do think it's a big impact on them 3. But that's a separate conversation.
Yeah.
I can't really speak for Yoro or Aiden Heaven, whether they like playing in a 3 or not. I'm guessing maybe they don't. They may have never even played it in their careers because they're young. Yeah. Maguire has played in the 3, so I'll give Maguire. Okay, Patrick Dorgu, I will accept maybe is in a position that suits him. Right, let's go. Ahmad, massively out of position. Yeah. Casemiro, massively out of position. Before you come at me and say he's playing centre mid, Casemiro plays at the base of a midfield 3 for his full career. Yeah. Casemiro is out of position in this team. Bruno Fernandes, massively out of position. Brian Mbeumo, out of position, plays out wide on the right. He's now in this inside 10 shite that he wants to play. Cunha and Sesko, I'll give you. Half the team is out of position because this guy is trying to mould half the team. He's signing players. He's not selling players that it doesn't fit. You know what, Christine? I just want to. I was watching some interviews when I got back last night, and I watched them today of Amorim as much as I could get through because he's really irritating me at the moment. And I've got a quote here, and I want to talk to you about it. Yeah. And this guy. He's throwing people under the bus and has done for a while. I said to you it's refreshing because I'm sick of shit players at this club. However, I'm looking at you now, mate.
Yeah, because now
Are you doing your job? You can slag off Højlund, you can slag off Garnacho, you can slag off Rashford. Are you doing your job, mate? Because I don't think you are, to be honest. You're rolling out a midfield that's going to get twatted every week. Listen to this, right? Yeah. This is after yesterday's massacre by Fiorentina. We had a lack of fluidity in the game. We can do better. But I think it was a perfect game of preparation to show us that we need to improve in different areas, that we are going to struggle in some moments. But sometimes we have players that can make a play to elevate the stadium. Yes, he spoke in English. However, do you want the translation, Christian? We are struggling in the midfield because my dogshit setup is terrible. But hopefully a piece of individual brilliance from Bruno or Cunha will bail me out. That's what he's saying. He's saying it in plain sight. Listen to it. We're going to struggle in some moments. Yeah, because of you.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have players that can make a play to elevate the stadium. Individual brilliance to bail my shit tactics out. He's saying it to your faces and you're going there singing his name and sticking up for him. Mate, point the finger at him. Why is he not? We can do better. You do better.
Yeah,
Why?
well, Alex...
Stop. He's a narcissist. He's actually a narcissist that you're sending them out, lambs to slaughter, and you're going, we can do better. Nah, mate, leave the players out of this. You can do better.
Yeah, so there was just something I wanted to ask you as well, Alex. I think it's a bit of the elephant in the room. Weirdly, I've not seen a lot of United fan channels talking about it. But I think Kobbie Mainoo, I don't know how this isn't a huge topic right now. Now, if you look at who his starters will be, I don't think Mainoo's near his starter at all. I don't think Mainoo's part of his best team or what he believes is his best team. How big of an issue do you think this is? Because, you know, when we saw Mainoo in that cup final and all that season and then went to England and impressed. Now, what has happened? And do you think that Amorim just literally doesn't fancy him and he's not going to try and integrate him in? Because you're looking at this. If he is going with this system, Kobbie Mainoo is an absolute must. And him just like not trying to develop him at all or not seemingly interested in it whatsoever, for me would be a huge concern. You've got a massively talented player there. And I don't know, what do you think the future holds in terms of that? Do you think he's going to try with Mainoo?
In the short term, this is something I wanted to talk about in Mainoo because I sat there yesterday and saw the lad sat on the bench while I was watching what can only be described as some sort of war crime against football, watching two guys play hoofball from centre mid and not be able to run. We've got a guy on the bench who can run a little bit. Yes, he's not a Kante, but nobody's a Kante. He's a freak of nature. Kante's athleticism and technical ability and ball carrying is something you aren't going to find off the cuff. Now, Kobbie Mainoo, this is the thing, Christian, I want to talk about. If you're rejecting 100 mil for Bruno and you're benching Kobbie Mainoo, in my opinion, most talented midfielder, that midfield better be good, Christian, because if it isn't, I don't want this manager at my club anymore because you're rejecting 100 mil offers for Bruno. That tells me you think he's worth 100 mil as a 8 or a 6. You're also benching Kobbie Mainoo, our most technically gifted midfielder, because you can't take Casemiro nowhere near that. This midfield, I tell you what, mate, if on Sunday we lose to Arsenal and he comes out in the post-match interview when Kobbie Mainoo's got 15 minutes at the end and he goes, we can do better, and he's grouping the team, no, mate, we're losing games because of you now. You need to look at these four midfielders. Your job is to get the best out of them. You're not getting the best out of them. And you've got how many United fans worldwide watching at home on Sunday? 70,000 are going to be going on Sunday. And by the way, they're singing your name. And you've got the arrogance to send out a team that's going to lose the midfield weekly. It's egregious. I just want to talk about, you mentioned Mainoo going to the Euros for England. Obviously, Ten Hag utilised Mainoo last season, and season before. And he went to the Euros, obviously, a year ago, and Southgate included him in the squad. And I'd love to know what the opinion... Do you think United fans would be singing Gareth Southgate's name if he came in last November, played 5 at the back, benched Kobbie Mainoo, spent 200 million? Do you think he'd be getting this blind witness support? Or do you think it's because we've got a posh-speaking Portuguese genius that's doing it? Because let me give you something about Southgate. He took Mainoo to a tournament that some England managers wouldn't have done. And not only did he do that, yeah, he played Trent in the group stages in centre mid. He had the bollocks to own up to that and say, nah, that was an error on my part. I'm going to chuck in Kobbie Mainoo, who's been playing Premier League football since December, by the way. This wasn't a slam dunk by Southgate. He did it after 3 games, and he's changed the system. Kobbie Mainoo played with Rice in centre mid. We got to the final, and we lost to the best team in the tournament. What's the difference now then? What if you can sit there, people watching this who think I'm talking shit, can you honestly sit there and say if this was Gareth Southgate, you wouldn't want him absolutely lynched for what you're watching right now? Because why should it apply differently? Ruben Amorim's done nothing in England. You've nothing to fall back on other than Sporting Lisbon being a great side. Sporting Lisbon being a great side might not be enough for this guy. What we're seeing right now, Christian, I've gone jury's out to absolutely hammer him out in 6 weeks, to be honest. That Bruno decision to that game yesterday is blasphemous from Ruben Amorim. And he needs to find something this week. You know what, Christian? He isn't going to.
No, I was just going to mention this, Alex. Do you think he is already fucked up? Because obviously we've seen what you've just gone and paid for Benjamin Sesko. Now, I know you put that thing out in the press, and I've got to be honest, I think that's a bit of a PR thing. I don't think you're seriously in for Baleba. Look, I could be wrong. It could bite me on the arse, this comment. I don't think they will sell the price you could afford to pay. They're not going to do 60 instalments, are they? It's going to be north of probably 100 million, similar to Caicedo. Baleba is crazily talented, such a clever player, and he would be a great signing for United. But what do you think with Amorim spending all that money on a number 9, which then means Bruno is concretely in that position all year now? That ship has been sailed. So then you now really can't go in and bolster your midfield. Do you think this is going to be the sword he's going to fall on ultimately? Because every single week you're going to be overrun, like you say, week in, week out by teams that you deem worse than yourselves.
Yeah, you know what? I've seen it online a lot about this Baleba, and United fans, waxing lyrical over it. Get Baleba in there again. It's maybe one of the last excuses on the Ruben Amorim bingo card, Carlos Baleba. I hope he gets him. Not only do I think Baleba's a good player, I also just want these excuses to run out for this guy, because you know what? That won't be enough. And these fans who think Baleba and Bruno is going to be good enough, it isn't. You mentioned N'Golo Kante, Christian, before. The only 3-4-3 side that I've watched in the Prem in my lifetime that's won the Prem is Antonio Conte's 2016-17 side.
Yeah.
That won it with 3-4-3. Anybody that's not familiar with that side, go and do a little Google search. Look at the centre midfield. N'Golo Kante, like my brother said, was one of them. He was player of the season that year with Hazard. Nemanja Matic was next to him. So Antonio Conte played 3-4-3. Yes, he had Kante and Matic in centre mid.
Prime versions as well.
Prime version. Do you know what them two are? They don't just cover every blade of grass. They're good on the ball. They could drive with it. Even Matic, people might not know this. Matic was strong. He could carry it. He was he was a bit like Moussa Dembele, just not as silky.
Yeah, he's a super player.
Kante, look, I assume everybody watching this knows how good Kante was. We ain't going to find a Kante, even if Baleba is Kante 2.0. What are you going to do? Because let's go, look at it right now, Christian. Kante versus Bruno, Matic versus Casemiro. And you want to do the math as to why this is a load of shite? Let's do the math again. Baleba, Kante, maybe. I'll give you that. If we sign Baleba, like you said, another 100 mil. What about Matic to Bruno? Because they're completely different profiles. And this is before we even get to the fact they had Eden Hazard as one of the front 3. And Diego Costa. And Pedro, by the way. And 2 wing-backs who got up and down like no tomorrow and could deliver at both ends. This Baleba shit is annoying me. It's going to be and you know what, Christian? We'll get him in. It'll be another one. And Amorim needs another 100 mil left centre-back because Martinez is out and Aidan Heaven's young. Then it'll be, we need a right wing-back because Diallo can't play that. It will never end. You know the excuses for this guy will never end. This system is flawed. This manager is flawed. And this team is going nowhere under this manager unless he signs Baleba and changes the system. I don't even think Baleba in a 3-4-3 will change. It'll change a bit. I think we'll win maybe the midfield battle against the bottom 6 teams. Right now,
Yeah.
Bruno Casemiro will lose every midfield battle this season. Even
Alex, you're
Sunderland
going to
and Burnley.
it's scary that what he said is so honest. You're going to have moments, but it's like, I'm shocked he's just saying that and like, as if that's acceptable. Because it's like he knows what's going to happen, and he's like, well, you can't be moaning. I'm telling you. There's one thing though, bro. I can already see that you've referred to Bruno in this video, and I can already see the comments we will get, and there are a lot of big Bruno supporters, and rightfully so. He's done great things for the club. However, what I would like to say is, if you are keeping Bruno Fernandes, surely you recognise that Amorim is not getting the best out of this guy. Therefore, when Alex is saying sell him when that fee comes in, that huge fee from Saudi, surely that is the more sensible option. You've got an aging, creative player who is a number 10. He's never going to be a number 6 or a number 8. So even if you're the biggest Bruno fan and you want to see him play at this club, you've got to say it doesn't make sense in the long run why Amorim would double down and say he's my guy and then go and play him out of position. Well, if you're going for Baleba, what was the thinking in keeping Bruno? It's so all over the place, and it does just seem erratic.
It's immediate. The Bruno rejection was I think the beginning of the end for Amorim, and we'll revisit this in a few weeks when we start like shite and lose 3 of the first 5 games, and when he's sacked by that Tottenham game in November. Because like you said, I'm going to get fucking pelters for this, but I'm not bothered because people need to listen and people need to understand what they're watching, and he isn't going to bring the glory days again, like you all keep singing, with this setup, with this decision making of his with Fernandes. If you're unhappy with what I'm saying about Fernandes, you need to be unhappy about signing Cunha and Buemo, because Cunha and Buemo have rendered Fernandes completely pointless in this team now. So don't be coming at me going as if you're saying this about Bruno. If Bruno came back as a number 10 this year, I would have been, okay, age probably would have made me sell him, probably. However, I would welcome him back. He's been an amazing player, and he's given a lot for this club in tough times. And he's a good number 10, Bruno. I think he takes risks. Maybe sometimes he goes overboard, but, so be it. This team needs risk takers.
Yeah.
However, you can't look me in the eye and say I'm wrong here. Bruno Fernandes is not a good centre midfielder. He's a good number 10, and he can't adapt his game. Christian, what's been the main criticism of Bruno as a number 10 in his whole career? High risk taking. That's as a number 10 with 2 midfielders behind him. So, let me get this straight. What's going to happen? Where's that risk taking going to go? Because he's not got the legs to get around the pitch and make tackles. All he's got is his risk taking. That's who he is.
And all of a sudden, there's no one behind him. He is the guy that was once behind him. So now all that stands between a Bruno balls up moment where he tries a Hollywood pass and it goes wrong, they're just through on your defence, and that isn't exactly one of your strongest parts either. I do, for United, I'm confused at what Amorim's doing. I mean, if you look at this as well, the Ahmad one, and I said this to you, Alex, when obviously you were signing Mbuemo and Cunha, and I said they're good signings. You're going prem proven. It's a good direction, solid direction. However, there was a bit of a caveat to it, and the elephant in the room was Ahmad, and where is he going to play? Now, if he is going to play wing back, now there's a knock-on effect with that midfield, Alex, because the only way he could have sold it, like I said at the time, to Ahmad, is saying, the way I want to play, you are not going to be a full-back. You are going to be a wing-back. You are going to be aggressive. You're going to be in the opposition's half. Right, but to do that, you need possession. You need a midfield. You haven't got it. So what is going to happen is Ahmad's worst fear. And then you're going to have an unhappy lad in that position, because he literally is going to be stood there like, right, I was probably one of the best players last year. I'm now somehow a right back who I'm struggling in this position because I'm not a defender. And you are going to have to pretty much submit to most teams' midfields because they're going to overrun you. So you're going to have to camp him. And I feel like this is where there's so many areas he's going to have to fall on his sword. I do think the Bruno one, I think the Bruno one is a knock-on effect in so many areas. because that's meant you've had to double down and you're going to go with Bruno all year in centre mid. Then if you're going Casemiro next to him, unless we see, the only way, Alex, I can see him not being sacked, honestly, I'm going to go out with this, only way I see Amorim not getting sacked early this season is if Mainoo has a meteoric rise back to form, and he turns out to be the player that, look, when he was coming through the ranks under Ten Hag, we were like, Jesus Christ, what a player. I think that's the only thing that could bail him out the shit. However, even then it'll be a struggle. That's how much I think the imbalance is that serious, having a Bruno Fernandes in that midfield.
I'll go one better.
I really do.
If you get the very best version of Kobbie Mainoo and he is next to Bruno Fernandes in a two-man midfield, he is still getting sacked because it still will not work.
Yeah.
This is flawed. This is never going to work. You're going to play 38 games now. If Ruben Amorim is the manager for all 38, we will lose the midfield battle 98% of the time. Just think about it. Not many teams play two in midfield anyway, because either it's a 4-2-3-1 and you have a 10 who can drop in, or it's a 4-3-3, and if it's a flat 4-3-3, then, you end up with three in there, like if like Liverpool did it with Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch. So already, just by definition, it's 3v2 in there. So the reason Antonio Conte won the league with it is because basically, Christian, it's simple. Kante and or Matic can do the work of two people. That makes Kante and Matic be able to out-hustle three midfielders that they're facing. That's the only way you can get away with this. We haven't got... to say we haven't got Kante and Matic is an understatement. We could not be further from Kante and Matic. If you went into ChatGPT and said, find me a midfield the opposite of Nemanja Matic and N'Golo Kante, it would probably spit out Casemiro in 2025 and Bruno Fernandes in 2025. And guess what we're rolling with? Because yesterday could have been the dress rehearsal for Sunday. Look, he might chuck Ugarte in. It doesn't matter. It's shit. Whatever two you pick out of them four, it ain't going to work.
I mean, this is where I just think incompetence. You said it yourself, bro. You said when Mason Mount was in there alongside, they still couldn't cope. They were still getting overrun in the Prem. So you take one of them out and you expect better results, plus older versions with more miles on the clock. It really is concerning for a lot of United fans. And I would be looking at him. And I think these first few weeks, Alex, are crucial. Obviously, you've got a big start, some real tough games. And then now, I mean, look at, Alex, I can't see you doing anything against Arsenal.
Did you see any of Arsenal yesterday? Because they had a little, maybe
I didn't know, because I was travelling back, so...
Yeah, they blitzed Bilbao 3-0, I think, in the end. And Zubamendi was 9 out of 10. Immense.
Yeah, Alex, look, I think that was better. I mean, I think United are going to get overrun against teams like, your mid-table teams, your Crystal Palace, them sort of boys. Now, when you're putting in players that are of elite level, Declan Rice, you've then got, look, I know Odegaard's been a bit hit and miss, but you've got Odegaard. You've now got Zubamendi added into that. Alex, I think you're going to get demolished when it's midfields like that. You're not going to get overrun. They're just going to, they are honestly going to bully them. And I can't see anything other than just strolling to losses. And it's like, how long do you give this guy before the penny clearly hasn't dropped for him? And he's doubled down that much. He hasn't really got another option now because he hasn't strengthened in that area. Obviously, you've kind of put Baleba's name out there. Is it going to happen? I can't see it, really. So if you're looking at currently what you're going with, it doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter if Sesko comes in and he has some sort of meteoric rise from 13 goals and gets 40, which would shock me. But, even if he does, what is it going to do? You're still going to get hammered on the other ends of the pitch.
You know what I noticed yesterday as well? Like any sort of passage of play where we get through the midfield, it's not sustainable. It's just like 3 players in a row do something amazing. It's not like an actual structure. It's bang, Dorgu retained it, laid it off, 1-2 Ikunya, got it back, straight through the pitch to Mbuemo. And it was like, it's one of them plays where, for me, that was an amazing move.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that every single time. The best teams in the world don't do that. They have moments where it all clicks and you have that passage of play, that bang, 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 and you create a chance or score off it. United have nothing structurally to fall back on. It's either that heads gone play where, like I said, 3 players do something extraordinary, or it just fizzles out, or you know who is sending it over the top. Christian, I bet Mbeumo and Cunha yesterday chased more long balls than they did all last season, and they were at Wolves and Brentford.
Yeah.
It's not like they've come from Barca. It's shocking, honestly, and I have never seen a more dead man walking than this guy, and he deserves everything he's got coming to him. And any United fans watching this who might be pissed off with me, I hope you go in on Sunday, and when Declan Rice is running an absolute mock, and Casemiro and Bruno, or whoever is in there, is chasing shadows, come back to this video and apologise to me, because I was there yesterday. I took my son. I feel sorry for my son that I've got to sit there with him and him going, he's probably like trying to keep him entertained, because the stuff on the pitch is shit and it's flawed. You know what you should be doing, Ruben? Unless you go and sign a centre mid, you need to play Casemiro, Ugarte, and Mainoo, and you need to play a flat three. You need to match up with other teams' midfield. You need to get a foothold in games. Don't be coming out post game going, we should do better, or we might get a bit of brilliance from someone. How about you build a structure that this squad can perform in? Because right now, none of them are performing. They're all looking happy. And the thing is, like, obviously, I'm sat there with a load of fans yesterday, and they're all. I'm obviously like speaking to a guy I was with, and I know they're thinking I'm a twat and negative. And then like Bruno comes over and they'll take a corner, and they're all clapping away, cheering De Gea for the last 5 years at Dross he put through. It's just absolute. Honestly, if you're going singing, I tell you what, he can have his little song, Ruben Amorim, when he changes his midfield, and anybody going needs to absolutely understand that, because it's this club. We reward failure, and what you look at what you're watching. Don't. Yeah. I tell you what, Christian. 6:30 on Sunday evening next week. I do not want to be going online and going, "Wow, Arsenal are title contenders. What can you do?" No. Don't be giving me that. I will flip if I've got to read or other, high profile YouTube channels going, well, what can you do? Because Gyökeres scored yesterday and even he looked good. So don't be coming at me or coming out to the general public saying Arsenal are a title contender and United are 2 years off it. We are miles off it because of this manager. And I have nothing else to say, really, until he changes it or the manager goes. And that's it. I don't know. Can you see a world where Ruben Amorim is in charge at Christmas with this setup?
I mean, like I say, things are going to have to change, Alex. Not with the. I'll go as far as saying I think if he doubles down with this all season, it's going to be his demise, and I think it's already started really. And I can't see him changing it. If he hasn't changed it by now, what's going to make him change it next season? We saw how last season was going, and he stuck to it. Why is he going to do anything different this year? And he's not made any signings that makes you think he's going to go with a different idea this season. And Alex, this is what I was saying. So if you end up getting rid of him by Christmas, you're then going to have to probably go and get a manager who will traditionally go 4-3-3. And then it's like, great, so with all the shit we've got on the pitch, we're now going to have either Mbeumo or Ahmad on the bench.
Yeah.
And that puts you back even further. And bro, I did say that. I did say this was a big concern.
No.
Look, long term, if he can work at wing back, not a big issue. But I always didn't think that would work. And I think you're going to struggle to get him to buy into it. I think he seems a good lad, so he's certainly going to give it a go. But Alex, the more you go into games this season and you're getting hammered, and then he's camping in his own half and playing right back, I just don't know if he's going to want to be there that long doing that job at all. The lucky thing is he will probably get fired anyway, and he will go back to his normal position. So he just has to wait it out. But bro, in answer to your question, I really don't see a way he can stay. If he keeps with this same level of arrogance and thinking that the Premier League should just adjust for him, that's not how shit works, mate. Watch one of the best teams we've ever seen in history in my club, the midfield we had. Watch what happened to us last year. What makes you think, with Chest, that what you're putting out, which has never been... I mean, of course, Casemiro, world-class in his own right, especially his Madrid days. What makes you think at this point in their guys' careers that they're going to suddenly be able to do this, be able to cope? You're selling them all down the river. You're not helping any of them. Your system doesn't benefit, I'd say, anyone in that squad apart from Dorgu. Which isn't a great... if you're basing your team around a raw left wing-back that you bought in Jan, or whenever it was. You know, I don't get it.
I met up with one of my very good friends yesterday, and he hates 3-4-3. He's done a couple of episodes with us, Mr. Phil Keogh, and I met up with him before and after the game yesterday, and I actually said sorry to him yesterday because I've actually argued with him on this, and this is a big thing for me where I will say I'm wrong, and I am wrong with this defence of Amorim last year, and I'm actually a bit embarrassed with myself, to be honest. Because other than his straight talking charisma side of it, tactically he's absolutely no fucking clue what he's doing. And anybody that thinks Bruno Fernandes, honestly, if them two play 1 minute this season, that should be an automatic firing. It's beyond negligence.
Alex, just a quick one. I do agree, by the way, but when you're saying that and you're saying like you feel bad for some of the things you said, here's the reason why I don't think you should, because I think Ruben Amorim massively benefited from the toxicity at the club at the time. And there is no denying that. Nothing takes away from the fact Garnacho had very poor attitude. He's gone on to show it with multiple managers, and he'll carry on throughout his career. Marcus Rashford, very similar. And I think Ruben Amorim, fans like yourself, what do we all love? We love loyal players, and we love a manager that will call it and go, that's not good enough. You shouldn't be at this club until you are ready to play for this club and adhere by the rules. So I think, look, he did do the right thing in them situations, but he almost bought himself time by doing it as well, because people I like this guy's values. However, now you're going to start looking at this and you're like, right, you've moved on the players that you said you wanted to move on, or you're in the process of moving them on. And now it's time for you to implement some serious tactics and actually show some progression in the Premier League. And unfortunately for you guys, it doesn't look like that's around the corner without some serious additions to the squad or without changing the system, which he seems absolutely concrete on, that he's just not doing it. So
totally agree. You make an absolutely golden point there with how he's benefited from the situation in a weird way, because the amount of poor footballers and bad attitudes at this club allowed him to finish 15th and lose a cup final to Spurs.
Yeah,
that is. I said he should get another season. He should get a summer window. Honestly, it's miserable. And I'm sat there yesterday, and everyone around me, they're all, on the little days out, enjoying it, cheering them all, cheering the penalties at the end, clapping him, singing his name. Ruben Amorim will bring the glory days again. Can Ruben Amorim just put out a midfield that can run? Forget the glory days.
Alex, the thing is with these people, though, and we have a lot of these comments on our TikTok, we get called toxic. I had it with a Rico Lewis video. You've had it with several of your guys. Now,
I have it weekly.
A lot of these comments consist of, you should just back the player. He's a City player. He's a United player. Why should I? Why can't we hold our clubs to the standards that they set a long time ago? They told you what the standards were. So what, just because they're letting them slip, we have to let them slip? No, fuck off. I'll call it out. If a player's shit and he isn't good enough to play for the club, damn right I'm going to say it. Why shouldn't we? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why do you want to go on channels, or whether you see your other favourite YouTubers and they just gas up a load of dross? Do you know what they do, though? They gas up a load of dross, and especially when they're signing them, but then they're reactionary when you lose it. No, you can't have both, mate. You can't be happy with it and then say you're not happy with it. It doesn't make sense. Just be consistent. If you think the shit, you should have said it at the start. That's where it annoys me, this flip-flop bollocks, honestly. Honestly, I think YouTube is littered with it, and it's a huge problem.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we speak every day about football. We've got our podcast together. Our views align. We support different teams, but we want the best for our clubs.
100%, yeah.
Everybody that's criticising me for being negative and toxic is sat there cheering the name of a manager because he's straight talking and he tells the truth. But people like me who do the same on YouTube and TikTok, we're the problem, apparently. Well, why are you cheering the name of a manager who's doing exactly what I'm doing? He's just doing it to the squad of players that you apparently don't like now because he says they're shit. Because you weren't there when Rashford had bad discipline. I probably agree with Amorim, because I think Rashford has gone completely off the ball, and Garnacho the same. But at the end of the day, you're taking his word for it. I'm telling you what I'm seeing. If you're going to these games and you're watching this midfield and you think that's acceptable, you think Carlos Baleba, he needs Carlos Baleba, then he'll need somebody else, then he'll need somebody else. When is?
Yeah, it's a bottomless
spotlight. When's the spotlight going to come on this manager to actually do something himself? Why is it always another 100 mil guy's got to come through the door? How about you've had 3 come through the door? You retained one for 100 million in Bruno Fernandes. You could have sold him. How about you do something now? When is it your opportunity to come out in an interview and go, actually, I'm letting the fans down here. Not we, you. You're the one that's sending this midfield out. It's I'm so annoyed. And
no, Alex, it's on him now. I think, look, there was a lot of talk on where the money's coming from for United this summer. Are they going to be able to sign anyone? Now, they have spent, let's be honest, and if they've, if they are putting the name in the hat for a Carlos Baleba, they must have more money to spend. I surely think, if you're going spending money on Cunha and Buemo and Sesko, I would be very shocked if you don't go and replace the keeper. I don't know what you've got in store or in mind, but, and again, if you don't, I'd be right back at his door again. Because if you are going into the season with Onana and Binday, and you went and gambled on a 70, 80 million pound striker from Bundesliga who got 13 goals, he should be sacked for that alone. Because that, again, is just fucking negligence. We have seen Onana and Binday. You made a great point yourself, Alex. You have Onana. You've somehow got the only keeper in world football worse than him.
Yeah,
which is an insanely difficult task, by the way.
Look, you know my take on these goalkeepers. They're rubbish. And he can't, look, we're trying to bring players in and we do have to upgrade every position. The goalkeeper position is dire. I completely get that. But Christian, Donnarumma will not sort this midfield out. Carlos Baleba will not.
Yeah, of course not.
I am focusing on this opinion of this manager that he thinks he can run a two-man midfield with what we've got available at the club. It's ridiculous, to be honest. And this is the thing with the excuses. When are you lot going to wake up and start holding him accountable for what you're seeing? No, he's not had a pre-season. He's not been backed. Well, he's had both. He's got championship forwards. He's now not. Well, apparently you're all telling me Sesko's the next coming of Christ. So, but Cunha and Buemo are great, but they'll be pissed off with this. I was watching them yesterday, running in behind, chasing hoofball. I
was just going to say this, Alex. Just a quick one on that. So I think you mentioned a really important point. And I feel like Manchester United and the fans really give managers a long time. Even when it's going to absolute shit. They will, like Ten Hag, they want him to stay. Your fan base always seems to love a division. A bit like Arsenal. Arsenal are very similar as well. And I don't understand it because, to me, it seems like, the Ten Hag one was just like, I don't know why they continued with it. Yes, he won the cup final against my team, ironically. But we all knew, it's not the right thing to do. But United fans, you'll get these United fans that will vehemently, they're defiant, and they're like, no, we want him. They still want him now. And it's like, this is where I think it's a problem.
They wrote an open letter to Ineos to keep Ten Hag, Christian.
This is what I'm talking about.
It comes back to this whole what Man United is and what we should do. And apparently the answer to that is put up with dross and not tell you what your eyes are saying.
Yeah.
That's what you're basically saying to me. Because Sir Alex Ferguson said, you stand by your manager. You know what, Fergie? I'm not standing by any manager that rolls out Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro in a midfield too. I know he said it about David Moyes. I know he's not just said this about Ruben Amorim, but it's the same principle. Match-going fans, we will cheer absolute utter dross. When Jose Mourinho played Ander Herrera in a back three at home against Spurs and we got battered 3-0 by Pochettino, do you know what was happening at full time? You have a guess. Did they get booed off? No. Jose Mourinho stood in front of the Stretford end and the fans are cheering him and celebrating him. He's just played Ander Herrera in a back three against Harry Kane and Son. And we got waxed 3-0. You go and check that out. And then, post-game, Mourinho comes out and goes, yeah, I lost 3-0. You know what else 3 means? I won 3 Premier League titles. United fans are still sticking up for him. Mate, it's... Yeah. Look,
it's blind loyalty. It really is.
Watching this, talk to me about where you're at yesterday. If you watched it on telly, if you went to the ground with me yesterday, tell me what you think ahead of Sunday. This time next week, we will be 70% of the match will be played. You think we're going to beat Arsenal? Or, you know what? The thing is, just going back to that quote, Christian, a bit of individual brilliance will elevate the stadium. That might actually happen, and we might be 1-1 right now this time next week. Christian, a Premier League season's 38 games. Do the math, everyone. Even if you scrape something next week with a bit of individual brilliance like Amorim, he's even telling you what he's telling you how shit he is tactically, and he's
Told you
also
game
saying
plan.
how he gets points. He's
Yeah.
actually saying it to you on YouTube. The United YouTube channel posted the interview.
And it's exactly what he did last year, and it's exactly what he leaned on last year. So
Unbelievable, mate. But look, anyway, rant over. I needed it. I've been on at my brother since full time yesterday to do an episode for my own benefit. Really, again, if you've watched this and you hate me, you probably hate my Chidowobi take and my Sesko take. But if you actually have a sensible head on your shoulders, tell me what you think in the comments. Even if you disagree with me, give me an answer and I'll read it and I'll get back to you as I always do. If you agree with me, once again, hit a like, subscribe, and we will see you this time next week for Declan Rice, Zubimendi, Odegaard, freedom of the pitch.
Max Dowman, Alex.
Max Dowman, yeah. Max Dowman, yeah. God, he could
Forgot about him.
Max Dowman could play DM next Sunday. Me. Right. Thanks a lot, Christian. You eventually let me rant, so I appreciate you for taking your time out on this Sunday afternoon. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. We've got the watch-alongs coming in a week. City on the Saturday, United on the Sunday. I've got a busy week personally, but I will be there. My brother will be there. And we can't wait. Please join us for them. It's going to be absolutely biblical. Thank you for listening, everyone. And we will see you next weekend for the opening weekend of the games. Christian, thank you as always, mate. Catch us on the next one. Mate.